right. So we only have like literally 30 seconds to get rolling here. Do we have any people? If you guys have questions, put questions in the thing.
Are the people there? I only see 0, but maybe I'm blind.
I can't see. All right. Let's get into it. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Build Horizons, a show about picking the life that you want to lead and how to make it happen. Today we're going to answer questions about being, bored and unfulfilled at work, software engineering and marketing, plans and when they go awry, and Katie has some new workout plans. But first, we're going to do the intro. All right, let's do this. I'm Jeff. This is Katie. Hit subscribe below. Do what the graphic says to do. Gotta obey the graphic.
Obey the graphic, yes.
Obey the graphic. So, before we go into some questions, and Katie has a thing to kick us off with. If you have not, you should go also follow us right now. At the time that this episode will be going live, I believe, we'll be in Sydney, Australia.
Yep.
By Sydney time, we land right about when this episode comes out, but because of how time zones work, I think it will have been out for like 15 hours before then or something like that. But yeah, we'll be posting some stuff out there. Should be a fun time.
It'll be fun. You should follow along, follow us on socials. We're gonna vlog our whole Sydney adventure, and I just have to say, I am rocking my
koala
hat, and you need to hit auto.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I got you. Yeah, my koala hat for 1 week till we leave for Sydney. I'm so excited. It's gonna be fun. I'm a little nervous for the run, but it's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be fine.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the run is just going to be what the run is.
Yeah.
Like
I'm really banking on the heat acclimation to help us out.
And you know, we have ran a other marathon in the last. How long? It sounds better if you make it sound like it's been sooner.
Well, it was early June, but actually that was like.
Yeah, it was June. It was sometime in June, which was it was just July, not too long ago.
That's true. It's been a busy week. I guess one thing we didn't talk about, we're actually kind of recording these back to back because we're trying to make sure I can't talk. All our episodes are ready by the time we leave for Sydney.
Yeah, for you all, these things are a week apart. For Katie and I, they are less than 24 hours apart.
Yep. So, but it was school this week. School started.
Yep, school started.
I think it went good. We have 4th grade and 2nd grade, which is so crazy.
Do you feel like you get more emotional now? So, like, I know we sent them on the bus this year. Do you feel... Of all the years, what was the hardest year to like do school stuff?
Oh, kindergarten.
100%
kindergarten.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I don't know. I really love this season with the kids. So
I didn't know if there was a but that was coming at the end of that sentence.
No. So I just think it's been fun watching them get older now. Yeah. So this was the first year that we've actually done busing, with our kids, and oh my goodness, Jeff. I
big fan
melted when the bus driver.
Oh yeah.
He was the sweetest older gentleman. Like I can tell he has just like done this as in retirement, like just picking up kids on the bus, and oh, it was the sweetest thing. I'm just so excited to have them be able to have this thing that they can go and do together and get on the bus together, and I don't know, it's just so adorable. It was so cute. But no, I think it'll be a great school year. I'm excited. Summer was fun, but I'm glad that we're back into a little more routine. I'm a routine girl.
This episode also has a fun post-exercise energy that we've never done on the pod before.
Yeah?
Well, I mean, we haven't we've always like had to sacrifice the entire morning.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah,
But
we
we've
did.
already ran. We did a quick lift.
Yep.
So yeah, we're like
I feel like rocking
on
and
top of the
rolling
freaking
today.
world. It's
Yeah.
all
Now, granted, we didn't do our long run. It was
no deferred that till tomorrow. It'll be really nice. It's a nice day. Did you look at the weather? It's beautiful.
It's gonna be better than what it is today.
Yeah.
Today I think the high is what 108, and the feels like is like
Infinity.
Infinity.
The feels like is convection
good
oven.
night. Yeah, convection oven. But yeah, so it'll
All
be
right.
good.
So speaking of workout routines, Katie, our intro this this episode, I want you to tell me, because we've talked about it barely, but also our listeners, what is your new workout plan that you've come up with here?
Yeah, so it wasn't.
This was kind of out of the blue.
Yeah, it wasn't planned this way, but our son, he really loves doing training with trainers, and it's just like his thing. He isn't so much into like competitive sports, loves golf, but doesn't necessarily like to do things competitively, which is totally fine. But obviously wanting to stay, we very much want to stay active and moving our bodies because it's really important. So I went to our local YMCA and had been talking to a trainer there, so went ahead and signed him up for personal training a couple times a week. But how their packages work is it's actually cheaper to pay for like a group, essentially a group package rather than like personal training. And so he's like, well, we can just go ahead and do the group and then it'll save you money. And so I just kind of asked, I was asking him if I could join. I'm like, well, if I'm paying for group, like how many people? He's like, well, it's 2. And I'm like, so could I do this with him? And he's like, sure, yeah, you could totally do it with him. So I signed me and Avron up for personal training twice a week at the YMCA.
You're gonna do some personal training with a 9-year-old.
I am so almost 10. He's gonna be 10 in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited, and it was really cute when I told him that Mom was going to do personal training with him. His face just lit up, and it was adorable and made me happy, and I think we're going to have good memories. And when I told you that his face lit up, you basically were like, we're so cool. So, it's fun. I'm excited. I think it'll be a good time.
Yeah. The one thing that I can't ever stop, like it's one of those, like once you see it, you can't unsee it type things, is the offer, like the structure of this thing to like make it an obvious like upsell. Like Katie got
I got yep.
Did you think about that any like live in the like little pitch they gave you?
Not really. I mean, it really wasn't a pitch.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
had also been thinking about doing some sort of training, especially coming up on being done with marathon training, kind of refocusing a little bit more on like lifting, weight training, and I don't know. Sometimes it just is nice to have somebody do that.
Yeah, I just like
guide you through that.
As someone who spent like so much time thinking about offers and things,
Yeah.
Would you like to pay a whole lot more for just one person, or would you like to pay less and you could, or the same, and you could do multiple people?
Yeah.
And just they definitely have a particular place that they're trying to funnel.
Well, yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
Turns out they're a business too.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just one of those things. Like I see that everywhere nowadays.
You can't unsee it now that you started.
It's literally what I spend all my free time. That's now my hobby is understanding offers and things. All right, should we do some questions?
Yeah, I think that'd be super fun.
All right, you want to read the first one here, or whichever one you? Yeah, I mean, you're the question girl.
I'm the question girl. So, question number 1. This question comes from Tremendous Coisty.
Tremendous Coisty.
Okay, I'm 29 and contemplating whether I've ended up in the wrong career. They go on to say that they are working in HR data at a university and they've been there for 4 years, but it is a little bored for them and left them feeling a little unfulfilled. And they went on to say, I don't want to be rash, but at the same time, they didn't want to commit 10 years to a career they don't enjoy and then live with regret. Is it too late to consider changing careers? I have a degree in business and HR management, but not many other skills outside of my field that I can think of.
All right. So, is it too late to to make, or is
Yeah. Is it too late to make a change? Is it too late to have a big career change when you've been, you know, doing something for a while and they don't want to, commit 10 years to it and then find out they don't like it?
Yeah. So first off, I think you may have skipped it, but the person's 29.
Oh, sorry if I'm. Oh, well, I read that in the.
Oh yeah, that's the title.
Yeah.
Good call, Katie.
Yeah, I got you. I'm getting better.
Yeah, so they're 29 years old. I would say, and when we were talking about this, you told me not to use these words, but I'll use them anyways. 29 is a baby.
Oh my gosh. No, you're not a baby.
But in reality, like, you are so early on in your career. If you are going to work till, let's say, 60 years old, you got another 30 years. So you're not even a quarter of the way. Well, if you're only 4 years into your career, yeah, you're like the first 10% of your career. So yes, you can definitely make a shift. I mean, unless you're asking this as a 50 some odd year old, I probably would still answer that the same way, but especially for the 29-year-old. I would say though, one thing, anytime that anybody says that they are bored or they're finding it unfulfilling, my the that could be from a number of different reasons. Like, the job truly could suck, or be boring, but more often than not, I feel like that is more of a opportunity than a problem. If there is, uh, I mean, presumably there's all kinds of other things going on at this, at this job, and there's always going to be opportunity to take on more things, or have those conversations. And if you are the sort of person who wants to, uh, you know, say to your boss, like, hey, I have some free time at the end of my day. Is there something that I could work on just to see if I could do that or not? And just, like, not to take away from my other roles or responsibilities, but like, I want to see if I could do this. That has two benefits, or probably more than that, but it has two main benefits that I can think of off the top. One is you are seen as, someone to think of when there is some new thing to do. Um, and honestly, as a person who manages people, I could definitely say there's nothing better than somebody eager to want to learn things. Um, and the other part of that too is you're going to pick up a lot of new skills, presuming that that is something that you go through and do. Um, so the other piece of that is, while you are, sorry, that notification.
Yeah, I know. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna turn off my notifications on my phone really fast.
If you ever wanted to know if I have ADHD, a single notification can send me spiraling down.
I've been really good about turning my do not disturb on when we record, but I totally forgot. And I had a few buzzes, and it was in my back pocket, and I'm like, maybe it's not gonna come on, and then I just got a loud notification. I'm so sorry, Jeff.
So I'm going to gather my thoughts while you, what?
Well, I actually have a couple things to say too to this.
Yeah.
First of all, you have a actual story of this happening because of where you got hired on, what department you got hired on firstly, with your career, and what you ended up turning that into. So I think it would be really fun to talk about that a little bit, because that is, I don't know, that's one of my favorite stories to tell people of how you kind of, worked.
Yeah, I can tell that.
Worked from the bottom. And then also, this person has a degree in business and HR management. I feel like that is such a, I don't know, that degree could open so many doors for you. That isn't really going to limit you to what you can do. I think that there is like endless opportunity of what you can do with a degree like that. So don't feel tied down to just doing HR data at a university. And, if you want to try something different, then definitely don't feel like that is going to make you stay where you are now. And then also the other thing I wanted to say is they said that it's left them bored and left them feeling a little bit unfulfilled. And sometimes I think too, it's not always the job, kind of like what you said. It can also be just like the people you might need you might do the same job in a different environment and find it fulfilling and rewarding just because of the people that you're around. Again, you don't know a lot of the time what you're walking into with a new job, but that's also another thing to think about too, is thinking it from a people point of view. And I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I also think though, yeah, the danger of that is getting into the grass is greener on the other side
Yeah, for
mentality,
sure. Yeah,
and I don't know that that's
definitely
always the
true.
helpful
Well,
perspective. I mean, it depends on what type of issues it is. Like if you're just bored, but there's other opportunities to do stuff, then
yeah.
that's one thing. Like if it's an unhealthy, like
Well, yeah.
if you're being treated like crap, that's a completely different story.
Well, and one other thing I wanted to say too is I what I have my degree is in healthcare administration, and what I am doing now is so far from healthcare administration. And just don't think that your degree is going to limit you to what you can do, because there's so much opportunity out there. There are so many jobs, and that is one thing that this job has taught me, which I actually think we're going to talk about a little bit later on. There are just so many opportunities out there that, like, there's jobs I didn't even know existed. So just don't feel tied down to something.
So I'm going to take another pass at the board thing because I mentioned asking your boss for new things.
Right.
Um, but I that is definitely an option. And in a perfect world, your employer would keep you busy and find things for you to do. In my experience, though, that is a varied hit rate. And that could be for a number of reasons. That could be just a lack of skill on the boss's side. That could be just uh, the busyness of the culture and environment that you're in. And so, like, there may not be time to think of, like, okay, what would be the best use of this person's time? And so, spending the effort to figure that out for you and hand that to you on a silver platter. But if you are in a situation where you're bored, you probably have some free time. I would highly recommend figuring that out yourself and finding ways that nobody asked you to bring value to the company. And I'm not saying again, like, you're gonna have certain roles and responsibilities that you have to do, and like, you should check those boxes. But man, it just kills me. Like, and I see this online all the time of like people being excited because they got to only work, 5 hours a week at their 40-hour a week job, and they just get to just coast the rest of the time. And certainly, if that's what you want to do, like, by all means, God bless you. But I do want to say something that's not like super popular on places like Reddit and stuff like that, which is you can also apply yourself to what you do, and apply yourself to your job and have a lot of fun doing it and find a lot of value and fulfillment for your day to day through that.
Mm-hmm.
And what that looks like is thinking about the business that you're working at and what are the things that you right now could either use the skills that you have or add skills to be able to like hey, I could do this thing with the spreadsheet and that would automate how this whole thing works and it would be a lot better of a process. Maybe nobody's asked you to do that, but if you have the kind of vision, like, hey, I think that this thing could be better, try it.
Mm-hmm.
Try it, bring it up. And, the most of the things, like when I'm reflecting back on my own career, some of the most impactful things that I have personally produced were not asked of me.
Mm-hmm.
They were things where I saw an opportunity and I'm like, I am going to go see if I can make this thing into reality and then spend the time to do it. And then when you have something tangible to show people, and then like let that be the litmus test of whether or not we continue to push this thing forward. Maybe it was just an idea, but you have to take some swings at that for to start to figure out like what sort of stuff is valuable. And I think the cool part of that is the enthusiasm for trying to figure out other things to do is infectious, and it can take a boring environment into like you caring about it at a higher degree than maybe others around you makes other people care about it a little bit more too. And that is a virtuous cycle that makes an environment that could just be coasting into something that is like you can apply yourself. You can use the creative part of your brain to come up with ways to make things better. And you learn a lot of skills along the way. And so it's not even, yes, it will benefit the business. Absolutely. Like if you're doing a good job, that's the whole point of you being employed is you bring more value than you cost the business. That's how it works. But it can also be a net benefit to you. Like you're building skills, you're learning how this stuff works, and you can carry that forward into your career. And whether that's at this place of business or somewhere else someday, it just raises the ceiling of what's possible. And man, it just anytime I hear people talk about how they're bored at work, like it kills me a little bit inside because that is such a missed opportunity. Yes, and again, I understand, like in a perfect world, your employer should be able to fill that gap for you. But we don't live in a perfect world, and that, what you do with that fact is up to you. But the situation that you're in is more in your control probably than you realize.
Yeah, no, that's really good.
Should I tell my story of my early part of my career that
I think it's very relevant to this.
So the story that I'm thinking of is just when I started doing analytics stuff. Okay, I got my foot in the door at my present employer as a contact center person, so taking calls. And at my first annual review, my boss at the time asked me if I knew how to do anything in Excel because she needed some stuff done. She was wanting to do some data stuff. And I was like, well, that sounds like not taking calls, and taking calls is very hard. To this day, I still think of that as like that was probably the hardest like season of my career, even though people think of that as an entry level job. That is a mentally tough thing to do, is to answer call after call after call for 8 hours. So it was an escape from that monotony and that grind, and I'm like, heck yeah, I don't know what you're wanting, but I can do it. I'll figure it out. And so I ended up doing analytics stuff and spreadsheet stuff and some automated data import stuff through Excel, and built quite a little dashboard thing, and I would update it every morning and continue to make enhancements and stuff like that. Ultimately, what that turned into was an opportunity to do that for our company at a broader scale, not just for the contact center. And that was kind of my way to sneak into an IT type role. And since then, for the last decade and change, I've been doing more technology stuff. But the start of all that was, hey, here's an opportunity. Would you like to do something a little bit different? And then I could tell you for what that looked like was, I got given the ability to spend a little bit of time every single week working on this stuff. And I mean, that was the most, like, I was extremely focused, extremely intentional with how I did that, and used that time to go so far above and beyond any time, any idea that I had. I'm like, hey, what if we looked at it a little bit differently? And spent the time to build that out in that time that I was allotted, so that then when I would come back to her, and it'd be like, hey, I thought of this other thing too that would maybe be helpful in this way. And like that willingness to do more than what was asked just kind of snowballs and got to a much that set me down on a much different path.
Oh, it's really cool. Do you know if they still use it? Your spreadsheets that you made back in the day?
No, I mean, we use some of the same principles, but it is long since moved from Excel. It does not live in a spreadsheet any longer. And then we actually had some automation that we had built early on, like in 2013 or so, and we turned it off. I think it was like in 2019 or something.
Oh, wow.
So it lived a good life.
Yeah, it did live a good life.
But had a little ceremony turning off that job that automated the output of all the data stuff.
That's cool. That's really cool.
All right. Question number 2.
Okay. So question number 2 is from user I am J.
Hi, Jay.
Should a SWE...
Do you know what a SWE is, Katie?
Software... I saw it somewhere, I thought. Software... Help me.
Come on, get an E. What's an E profession name?
Executive?
No. Engineer.
I was going to say elephant. It was like the only word I could think of.
Software elephant. Should be
And-
software elephant.
Okay, engineer, got it. Software engineer.
Elephant.
Should a software engineer
Elephant.
get a marketing degree? And they go on to say, is it worth getting a bachelor's in marketing right now? Do I even need one to make the jump? And then they go on to ask, what salary could someone with a technical background and a marketing degree command? I would need to be making more or above what I am making now, and would I even be able to land a job given I only have personal marketing experience? And then he did say that it seems like there's plenty, but not all jobs that want 3 to 5 years of experience. So kind of just wondering, is it worth it?
And
Should he get it? But anyways,
I forgot to also mention at the top. So this person's 25.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 25. Yeah.
They're making a good salary right now, 114K as a software engineer, 4 years of experience. They they envision themselves as using the experience at their job to someday build a business.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's another important part of this question. So they ask like a lot of interesting questions on this,
Mhm.
like a lot of questions within this question. So first off, the software engineering plus marketing, like that skill set combination. And one other thing, they've done like some personal, I kind of mentioned in one of the questions below, but like on the side, they've done certain business ventures, but they weren't able to get that to a point that it like exceeded their salary to the point where they would be able to quit their main job. But they realized that they really enjoyed the marketing part of it, which is an interesting thing to combine with a software engineer background. So first off, with the software engineer, it makes sense to go learn some marketing stuff. I would say the skill set itself is like the probably most profitable two skill combination that we have in the current era of technology stuff that we're in.
Yeah.
The reason why I say that is since you can do so much of the legwork these days with development with AI, but you still need to have kind of a ability to understand the overall vision and what the different pieces are. The technical software engineer side is valuable because you can really maximize what you normally would have to have done by hand, as long as you can still understand it and you get the like what the vision of the end outcome should be. You can do a lot of work. Like you can have a huge amount of output that was not possible a year ago, and certainly not possible prior to. So, and especially if you want to have your own business, like the ability to create stuff with a software engineer background, super high these days.
Yeah.
The other part of that I think a lot of people, including myself, greatly underestimated is the amount of like if you were to start your own business or want to do your own thing, the amount that marketing matters to the extent that without it, it literally might as well just be all an academic exercise because you have to be able to figure out how to get people to know about your thing. That is beyond the actual thing being good, the obscurity starting point is like unsurmountable without some marketing chops. So if you have the interest in the marketing side of things, and you have a software engineer background, I would say that's a really strong combination to start your own like thing and make it profitable if that's the route you wanted to go down. But even if not, I would say that also makes you extremely valuable to a employer as well. So at the top, I really intentionally said, these skills matter. The other part, and it's hit on in a couple different part of your questions, both on the experience side and can you land a job with only personal marketing experience? everybody's going to answer this a little bit different, like from an employer perspective.
Mhm.
I will say, from my perspective, and probably the sort of places that you want to work at, the answer is going to be that the how you acquired those skills doesn't matter. The amount that the U.S. spends on education has, stayed at the same high level that it always has. But less and less of that is going toward formal education. More and more of that is being spent through, online ways that people learn, stuff like
Mhm.
that. The and that'll probably continue to shift over time. The main thing though is like the skill sets matter, and can you demonstrate that, or do you have a portfolio or some way to show? So if you do have a degree, it can be in some people's eyes a shortcut to be able to say like, okay, well, this person has, at least the baseline skill sets required. Some employers will value that really highly. Me personally, I typically speaking, would more so value the personal experience, or especially if you can demonstrate that through like, here's my portfolio. I've made a little page that has some ads that I've made, or here's 5 landing pages that I've created. To me, that would be 10 times more valuable than saying that you graduated from some university in 4 years.
Mhm.
I just The world changes so rapidly in this space that the ability to demonstrate current skills shortcuts a lot of the like ambiguity of what you can do and not do.
Yeah, yeah. I actually totally agree. I think that there is a lot of value to showing that you've done the thing, that you've grown a business, that you've made money on ads. Um, that would mean a lot to a company, especially if you were coming in for an interview and had that to show. I think that that would be really valuable for sure.
One thing that I wanted to also mention, because this person has a background of like doing stuff on the side and that just wasn't able to make enough money to
Mhm.
overtake their current salary. I would take a second and think about, what do you want to be true in 5 years? Like if you want to have, if you just want to further your career and take a different path, certainly you can go down that road. If you want to have your own business and have that be successful, then it may make more sense to ride out what you're doing currently and focus more on building your skill set than it would be to like trying to further your career and make more money. Um, I I they sound like they're the same thing. Like if you want to make more money, you do have to have some more skills and stuff. But you really would need to invest in your career and spend a lot of time and mental energy on building that you're not going to be able to spend building your own thing. Both are completely valid paths to go down, but they are counter. Like I don't think that you're going to try to find a new job that uses your marketing preferences and also be building toward, being able to be self-employed, or
Mhm.
start your own business, own your own business. I think that you're going to delay one for the other if that's the path you go down. So it really, before you do any of this exercise, I think the first thing that you want to really think through is, what do I want this to be in 5 years? And then if that is going to be your own business, then I would say you're making a good salary here. You're going to continue to learn some stuff, and that can support things. But then I would not worry about like going to school, and I wouldn't worry about trying to find a job that uses that marketing stuff. I would continue to figure out, like, you've done some stuff on the side. I would triple down on that and find a thing and figure out how to get it to a point that it continues to grow, and then like learn what that next bottleneck is and then fix that, and then learn what the next bottleneck is and fix that, and keep going down that path so that you can figure out what it would take to be your own thing. The other weird part about that too is, if you were to advance in your career, you're just setting that bar higher and higher, and lifestyle creep is a real thing, and it's just going to be harder and harder to replace that income. So if that's not your goal, if your goal is to be self-employed, then you'll have to figure that out. And it's easier to figure that out earlier and focus on that earlier than it would be to go down the career route. Now, that said, if you like working at a company and you just want to have this career shift, I still think the I would think about what sort of company you enjoy working at. Like if you want to work at a really large company, then that formal education probably holds a little bit more weight. If you want to work at a mid-sized or smaller company, demonstrated skill sets are probably more valuable. And so I would look at like what sort of things do you have right now that you would be able to put on a like a a portfolio website or something like that that you could include in a CV on a job application. If that doesn't exist yet and you haven't, then that's an opportunity for you to think through what skill sets do you think would be beneficial to demonstrate, like building, landing pages, building some ads, get all that built onto a website or whatever the specifics may be that are the things that you're particularly passionate about, and and then start that job search process if that presuming that that's not available just at the current employer.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to add to this is um, to kind of piggyback off of what we previously said is, if you have a good job, you're at a good company, you might have an opportunity to do something with the marketing department. So that might be another opportunity that you could maybe learn something from somebody that the field you're in. And I don't know where they work or what they do, but just another thought. And then also, if you are wanting to learn more about marketing, and I know we've kind of talked about this before, if you can find a mentor that does have a lot of experience with marketing, that you can sit down and really pick their brain and ask them questions about it, that's another really valuable thing that you could do, is trying to find somebody that has more experience in marketing, that maybe has had a long time career in marketing, and really pick their brain on that and see even what their thoughts are, and some ideas that they might be able to help you with your own portfolio. So that was just another couple thoughts I had from what you said.
Yeah, I mean the yeah, I think it's actually a really good point to not undersell the opportunities in the current role. If that even, if you do want to go down that marketing route, just because there's not like a part of your job that maybe intersects in a way that just organically has happened, it doesn't mean that you can't take that and force some of that stuff to happen, like force some of those interactions. I think people way underestimate how much people just like talking about their jobs and having other passionate people ask them questions and work on stuff together. And if you are doing some of the software engineering things, there's all kinds of things that you can do that help add transparency to a customer's journey. And if you can say, like, if you can work with a marketing person, say like, hey, when you are marketing to these people, I saw that you used this wording. I think we can really reinforce that in our product by saying, like, reinforcing how we do that through these, however, whatever onboarding options or something like that. Or like picking their brain of like, hey, I've realized we've done this. It's probably because that gets more people to click on our thing and make it through our onboarding process. What can I do that would really hook that later on? Should we build something that is like after they've done something X number of times, should we figure something out? Like there's just different all kinds of different opportunities to intersect with that marketing brain out in your company. And I think if that's not happening organically, you can force some of that to happen too.
Yeah. Do you feel like while I say I am not nearly as much into the marketing world as you are with the company, but do you feel like this has made you, I don't know if respect's the right word, but like understand the complexity of even what like your marketing people have to do at your daytime job? And
oh yeah, and they know I have like had some kind of weird interests in marketing things. So I asked them all kinds of questions.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Um,
Is this you right now? Are you asking people that you know are really good at marketing?
Yeah, we have some fantastic marketers at our company, and it's been really cool to like pick their brain on what their strategy is for much bigger things with much bigger budgets than I'll ever have. Um, the the opportunity to learn from them is tremendous, and it's just fascinating to learn. Even if I don't use any of it directly, I think just the exposure to freaking brilliant people in
Yeah,
that space is like
it's
you,
fun.
you kind of become the people that you surround yourself with, and you come and you can take like little pieces of things and apply that to whatever it is that you're trying to do. And so yeah, I have a tremendous amount of respect, and like even through some of the ads that we've done and seeing the difference of like what the click-through rate is on certain things. The click-through rate on one of our ads was crap, and one of our ads, like based on benchmarks, was actually like really solid. But the really solid one, a lot of work went into that, and that took a lot of extra time. And then I think through what that could look like if we did more stuff like that and all the downstream things. And that's for our little business, but if you have hundreds of thousands of customers that are coming through the door, and like that tiny little thing for us, that could have $1 million impacts if the business is large enough. And so just like through that lens, looking at some of the stuff that we do, yeah, it's just really fascinating to learn, and like also just the mechanics of like what that looks like at a larger scale is just really fascinating. As a person who loves details and the behind the scenes and how it all works, the opportunity, just again, people love to talk about what they do day to day. They don't like a lot of times you just kind of get stuck in the like, okay, well, I'm doing all the stuff that's come across my plate that I have to do, and you don't get to take a step back and actually talk with others that are interested in your stuff. And so you can be that person that gives people the opportunity to talk about things.
Yeah, I think that's
You
really
can learn a
good.
ton along the way.
Definitely. Do you want to read question number 3?
I will read question number 3. This is from user Cherry Kissed with a 1 as the I in kissed. How cute. Wondering what my next move should be. So this is a person who a little bit of wandering on what they've wanted to do. They are very young. I don't think they say in the actual question, but they mention some stuff from when they were 18 that sounds like they were maybe just another year or two down the road. So let's call them 20-ish. They've been working in a salon for a few months. They have spent a lot of money on going to beauty school, and had thought that that was the industry that they wanted to spend their entire career doing. Which I'll just note, like, very common to feel like this is the thing that I wanted to do, get through school, start doing it, realize like, oh, I don't know about this. It's a bit of a blow because they're starting to have a little bit of doubts, and they truly believe that this would be the thing that they would do for the rest of their lives. They also mention that my plan was to climb my way up a ladder of professions until I finally reached where I wanted to be. And they talk through a little bit of like going through children's camp counselor to being a camp counselor to being a park employee to a park ranger, like as an example of one of the things they were thinking about before going into beauty school. But yeah, the main crux of the question is trying to figure out what their next move should be, given that they thought this beauty school thing would result in them taking a career down that beauty path, but realizing that what they're doing right now, they don't really see it being a long-term thing.
Yeah.
So what would be your thoughts for our wayward 20-year-old here?
Well, I think if you went to beauty school, you obviously have a little bit of interest in, whatever that is, if it's aesthetics, if it's hair, anything in that field. But I know they mentioned that, they have a passion for environments and environmental projects and doing something in environmental sciences. And One thing that I am really grateful for with my career right now is I do get to work a little bit in the beauty field, which is so fun to me. Um, and also, what it has made me realize is there are so many jobs in the beauty field outside of just what you typically think of for doing, doing hair or doing makeup or doing aesthetics. There are people and scientists that go and develop formulas that come up with packaging ideas that are more environmentally friendly, um, finding ways to save energy on how they're manufacturing things. So I think for me, when I read this, is oh my goodness, there are so many opportunities if you wanted to stay in the beauty field, but also really liked to think of something with that could help the environment. There is like endless opportunity. Um, so not thinking that you have to necessarily. It's so funny though because it could just kind of piggyback off of that first question. That you don't necessarily have to go back to school. You could go look at manufacturing plants, look at places that do R&D development. There, look at places that work on packaging for hair products, for makeup products. There's just endless opportunity, and that is one thing I know I said it another time on this episode, but of there are so many jobs out there, and I did not realize how many jobs out there were until I started working in the field a little bit. And it's a really, really, really fun field. I highly recommend it, and it's so interesting and always changing and always a little different. I know you don't have as much, obviously, experience in beauty as I do, but
Not a lot of beauty
basically just
happening in finance.
yeah, just don't put yourself in a box just thinking that you could only do things that you learned from beauty school, because there's just endless opportunity out there that you could apply what you enjoy with beauty and putting it into something that you might feel that you get to go do more sciencey things, even if you did like helping the environment, or even if you wanted to do something, um, for example, formulating. But anyways, yeah, just fun and interesting, just something to think about that I don't know if as many people know that there are so many jobs out there that you could do some really fun things with in the beauty field.
So I have a question
Yeah.
on that. I don't think anybody would argue that there's a lot of jobs out there that are like really spanning the spectrum of these two interests. But especially after hearing you say that, I think some people like are a little unaware, but then when they hear it, they're like, "Oh yeah, of course that makes sense."
Right.
But how would you go about actually figuring out what like knowing that information is different than actually knowing what those opportunities are? How would you go about? I guess first question, what how would you go about learning what those different opportunities even are? Like what even jobs are out there? Knowing that yeah, there's a bunch. How do I figure out what sort of stuff that even is?
Well, I think you just have to do the research to figure out if you look into a manufacturing plant and understanding, because there's a lot more that's going on than just people, filling products or machines filling products. There's the scientists, there's the chemists, there's people that are project managers working with clients. So you get to be a little creative on what you come up with together. So I think it's um, you know, looking at manufacturing plants, understanding what it is they do. And I think it's too, because there's so many manufacturing plants, understanding what it is, if you want to do hair, or if you want to do makeup, or if you want to do color cosmetics. Now, granted, a lot of these people and places do it all. Another thing that I thought was really fun, and I don't know where this person lives or what's local to them, is if they have something where there's a conference or like a makeup in New York or a makeup in LA where you can go and talk to some people about it, like people that are doing the things. It's really interesting and really fun. So that's another way. there's also so many free webinars that literally
Hmm.
free. You just sign up to do them. It just takes a little bit of research and figuring out what is out there. I mean, you're gonna have to spend time figuring out what it is that you want to do. But there's a lot of opportunity to grow in that space.
So I have a thought, but I also want to know, let's say you figure out a particular opportunity or maybe even a handful of companies that like do the sort of stuff that you are interested in.
Hmm.
How would you counsel a young 20-ish-year-old on how to get a job doing that at one of those places? Like, I mean, other than obviously if they have a job opening and they can apply and all
Right,
this, like,
right.
how do you actually get into something like that?
Yeah, it's hard. I think it's like, if you can apply and get it, that's great experience. But I think if you can start learning about the industry, learning what it is that they're doing, learning about trends and also having a passion for it, like making sure you really do enjoy that when you go into, because I mean you're going to eventually have a job interview. I
Right.
think when you have that and you can come in with that passion and that knowledge that it is going to help you stand out. um, and I think learning, and I know we live in an age of social media. There are so many really cool social media things that you could learn about and see what's out there. And I don't know. I don't think I answered your question the best, but use LinkedIn. I think that that's a
Yeah.
really valuable thing. Make those connections with people. People are really nice and they would love to talk to you, even if it is just virtually through things like that. And there are a lot of companies that do teaching things on it that a lot of the times you can email them and ask them questions, and they have connections, and you just have to do the work. You have to put the legwork in to get to know the thing. And I mean, it's not going to fall on your lap. You have to be able to find ways to learn more about the industry, to meet people and network. And yeah, I mean, you got to get yourself out there and do it.
Yeah, and that was the last thing you hit on is kind of where my head was at is if you've done some of the initial, because you can do a lot of the research of like what companies do stuff in all the
Mhm.
various fields around this without having to talk to anybody. But then like if you want to actually find a way to get into these fields, I I would say for one, Katie, you mentioned it. Like people are nice, and if
Mhm.
you message 50 people on LinkedIn that
Mhm.
are at the maybe say 10 companies that you are interested in, so like 5 people at each company, I would be shocked if you didn't get at least a handful of them that would be willing just to talk to you about what they have going on.
Mhm.
So like not doing it for like a job interview or anything like that, of just saying like, hey, I'm 20 years old and I'm wanting to learn a little bit about this role or like this field, and you have a job that's like literally exactly what I would like to do someday. Like that's my career goal. Would you have a second just to spend like 20-15 minutes with me just to answer a couple questions I had?
Mhm.
A lot of people would say yes.
Oh
Like if
yeah.
somebody asked me that on LinkedIn, I would say yes,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
100%. And so you do that and you go and like take that as a gold mine of opportunity to learn about things. Secretly, that does make you like the a very high likelihood to get an interview if
Mhm.
they do have a job opening. I think that you can kind of sneak your way into saying like, "Hey, I noticed that you have this job opening. Do you think this would be something I should apply for based on what we talked about?" Like if you want a secret way to get into that, that is a 10 out of 10 way to make that happen. But you can just learn stuff, and then you have things that then if you get into an interview, you can mention like, hey, I am interested in doing this stuff, and so I've done some research and I've talked to this person at this company and this person at this company, and I think these are the sort of things that I could do pretty good at, and I would love to have the opportunity to bring that to the table at your company,
Mhm.
person interviewing me. Um, but then, yeah, I definitely definitely would second like finding things on LinkedIn and
Mhm.
finding people to talk to. The which I say that as an introvert who would be very uncomfortable doing that. But if you want to make this thing happen, like you're gonna have to do things that are hard and uncomfortable. That's just part of it.
And it gets easier the more times you do it.
Yeah,
For sure.
and it's like you're gonna make it up in your head of like it's gonna be inflated to the point where especially if you're like me, it's gonna be like you're thinking through the 100 different bad ways that this could go. It I mean, I even just had a meeting yesterday with some people out at another financial institution, and we just talked about our jobs. They were curious about some stuff that we had done, and honestly, a very similar-ish situation. And it's just like those those conversations often are just a lot of fun, and I think you'd be surprised at how much better they go than even what you would have anticipated in your best case scenario, and certainly far, far away from worst cases. Um, like Katie said, most people are nice. You'd be surprised. Um, the other piece of advice I would give is don't be like if this truly is your goal and you have a company that you feel like they have an opening or something that maybe isn't exactly the type of role that you want, but the company does the sort of stuff that you want, especially if it's not a 5,000 person company. Like if it's smaller, and I would define smaller as, let's say, 500 or less, 1,000 or less employees, and ideally smaller, the more flexibility you have on roles and stuff. um, don't be afraid to take a job just to get your foot in the door. It is a lot easier to get a internal promotion than or like an internal shift than it is to get hired off the street. Yeah, it might not be exactly what you're aligned with, but this is not a thing where it's like, well, I need to get this job this year because I'm 22 years old and I'm running out of time. Like you have plenty of time. Get your foot in the door, work there probably for a year or two. They almost always will have some kind of like, well, we don't want to. You have to work at your job for a while before you're eligible for some sort of internal transfer or something like that. So get in the door, learn a lot of things, ask a ton of questions. Like I mentioned before, find opportunities to, if you have a little bit of free time, think of ways that you can start to learn and build relationships across the organization. That'll make you more effective in your current role because these companies aren't able to do things just in silos. Like it requires collaboration, and if you can kind of bridge the gap between whatever it is that you're hired to do and whatever that other department is, you could be more and more and more valuable. So find ways to do those sort of things, and then when the opportunity arises, you're going to be that much more prepared and in a much better position to get to do what actually it is that what you want.
I feel like this was a very career focused podcast. Kind of different from what we've been doing.
Yeah, it's you're building your life and what you want to achieve, and we that can be stuff that is more about you as a person, but also what we spend our time doing professionally is a huge part of that. And so I think it still is very much aligned with helping people figure out their stuff.
And I think too, I know a lot of these questions were younger folks, but you aren't limited to that. Like age, I mean, it can impact things, but if you're, at any point in your life, feel like you want to change, like don't feel like you can't make a change.
Yeah,
that's really important too.
And life is a long time, and I mean, even if like, let's get morbid for a second. Even if you're going to die in 5 years, do you want those 5 years to be on your terms, doing the things that you want, or just doing the thing that you're unhappy about? And but the brass tacks of it is most of us have a whole heck of a lot longer than that, and so just because you may be 20 years into a career doesn't mean that that's a life sentence, even though it feels like, oh man, I would have to, if I were to change something, I would be throwing away all this knowledge. Like, well, no, like you've definitely built stuff that's beyond just the specifics of that role. Like you've grown a lot as a person. You've grown a lot probably as a leader or a person who understands what it's like to do hard work or how to persevere or how to be a good teammate. Like all those things translate. It's not wasted time.
Right. Yeah. I remember when I was going through my community college days, there were older folks in my college classes and being it was very different because we were just fresh out of high school. And I don't know, I just really admired them for taking that step. And as a 18, 19-year-old, I don't know, it was really cool to see that for them deciding they wanted to go get their degrees at whatever age they were and try to do something different with their life. It was just really cool to see that. I just specifically remember that from my community college days.
Yeah. Well, that's a good note, a good happy note to wrap on. If you didn't already, definitely hit subscribe. And what other housekeeping things we have? Yeah, if you have any questions for us, any topics to cover, or just want to say hi, email us at buildhorizons.com. We would love to talk to you. Follow us on socials. We'll have a good time on Sydney, sharing some stuff.
Yes, it's going to be fun. We're going to have a really cool video.
See if we survive the marathon. I'm sure we will, but at what cost? With that, though, Katie, I'm going to turn it over to you to send us out.
Yep. Thank you for building with us, and we are cheering you on. We have a comment on... I didn't see it, though, until just now. It might have been our kid.
Oh, we're still recording. We have a viewer and some likes.
Oh, how many likes?
Hello, everybody.
Hi. Are there any actual questions or just people saying hello?
I don't know.
How many viewers?
There are no questions in the chat right now.
All right.